Jeff Big Daddy Wayne here. I've got a little Jim Beam and I've got my cigar. Of course, I wouldn't light it or smoke it in front of you. I have too much respect for you. Amy Schumer, wow. Last month, which was the month of May, there was an article in the New Yorker about Amy Schumer. Very good article. And this month in the Atlantic magazine, she is the primary exponent of the idea that comedians may be the new intellectuals. Do you get it, ladies and gentlemen? Comedians may be the new intellectuals. I've been a comedian for years, but I've never considered myself an intellectual. And after you hear this, you probably won't consider me one either. Or if you watch any of the other things I post on YouTube, or if you get any of my CDs or watch any of my shows, I don't consider myself an intellectual. I think that's rather pedantic. And I'll tell you why. I see a lot of people around comedy now, and they don't laugh at the comedian. They'll just go, oh, that's smart. Oh, that's smart. Oh, that's smart. Oh, that's intellectual. What happened to laughter? What's happened to laughter? Just making somebody laugh. That's what I always wanted to do as a comedian, make people laugh. And hopefully it's a happy laugh, a warm laugh, not an insult, to get a laugh. What I would call a bad laugh is when you embarrass somebody and people laugh, or a shock laugh. There are comedians that get shock laughs. But Amy, God bless her, I think she's funny, and I think they do her a disservice because once you move into the intellectual category, you lose the general crowd because most people, let's face it, they're not intellectual. They're not that smart, even though they drive smart cars and they have smartphones. You and I both know they're not that smart. You and I both know certain people's politics, not that smart. Now, there's another book that was out recently by Richard Zoglin. Richard Zoglin wrote a book about Bob Hope. It's called Entertainer of the Century, that Bob Hope was the entertainer of the century. Richard Zoglin, in his book, makes a point to let you know that Bob Hope didn't read books. He had no intellectual curiosity. Now, a friend of mine said, did you know Bob Hope had no intellectual curiosity? And I said, well, it didn't seem to bother him. He's a very rich man, played golf, helped a lot of people, did a lot of charities, seemed to enjoy his life. Is it necessary to be intellectually curious? And I said to him, you have to consider Bob Hope's family. He came from a poor family and at a time where he had to work to survive. He had to go out and help feed the family. He didn't have time to sit around and discuss Dostoevsky and T.S. Eliot and talk about an essay by Susan Sontag. No, Bob may not have been that intellectual, but I don't think it bothered him because they're writing books about Bob Hope. Zoglin is writing a book about Bob Hope, the man who wasn't intellectually curious. And I find this curious. I think what happens is Richard Zoglin came from a family that read a lot, and this is very important to him, that you're intellectually curious. I guess it would be the same if Bob Hope was writing a biography of Richard Zoglin and said he didn't play golf. I've got to hold that against him. However, there's nothing wrong with having a high IQ, and two of my favorite comedians, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. And Abbott and Costello go to Mars, 1953. Lou Costello says, this guy says, you have a high IQ. And Lou goes, high IQ too. Big Daddy knows.